Dear Crystal Ball, today I played Hitman 6. No, that's not right. Hitman 2016. No. Hitman World of Assassination Season 1. No, it's just Hitman trademark. Sorry for caps lock. I had my reservations after a savory fart that's been absolution and just in case braced myself for another impact, but it turned out to be great. It's like anti-cyberpunk situation, when game company pulls itself back together despite all odds and not only returns back to form, but majorly improves on what made them good in the first place. Maps are massive, beautiful and have a lot of detail. Even though I had freshly acquired experience from past 5 Hitman games, first mission managed to overwhelm me. It's huge, there's so much going on, so many people talking, providing this big flood of information, so I feverishly trying to piece all these different puzzles together while opportunities slipping away one by one because it's just taking too long. And after I finally managed to pull off the assassination after more than an hour of exploration and plotting, it feels especially satisfying. When in Silent Assassin, size of maps made them bloated, because most of the time you just had to cover distance by running or even worse, walking. Here, everywhere I went, I found bits and pieces of the puzzles to help assassinations, so all of it felt purposeful. For example, in Sapienza level, there is a hidden hippie room in the attic. On the first glance it looks like another haha weed joke, but you can steal a joint and trick targets into smoking it and eventually black out. And it's also a unique sniper position. If you carry out a therapy session without smothering Caruso, he then decides to talk to Francesca. Turns out, if you want to snipe them both with one bullet, the only place to do it from is that attic. When I've been running around searching for a good angle and their bodies perfectly aligned in that window, it felt like a revelation you would get while being high out of your mind. So it's almost poetic. In Blood Money, there has been a decent amount of architectural artifacts and questionable level design choices. In Hitman, there is no cramped mazes or bizarre dead ends. Structures look natural and at the same time provide a lot of access points for progress. Level design in general is rich, clean, clever, and it tops not only any other Hitman game from the past, but also it's one of the best level designs I've seen in any game. Tone of the story changed yet again. It's 1,000 times more mature and serious than it was in Absolution. The main story is on a background like it was in almost any installation, and it consists of short cutscenes between missions where secret organizations playing their sneaky games. It's very confusing at the beginning, it doesn't chew up anything for you, you are not provided that much information as to what's going on or who these people are. I only started to get some sort of a grasp after the third cutscene, so it heavily requires a second watch after you finish the game. Though even without understanding the whole extent of their shenanigans, I enjoyed watching it on a presentation alone. Some of their lines could have easily fell into a pit of being cheesy posturing.
The pen beats the sword, huh?
I have found that whoever wields the sword decides who holds the pen.
He's only a terrorist if you win.
Miss Burnwood, we won a long time ago. This is maintenance.
But the delivery and the way it was performed makes it work. Whoever played Moriarty and Frenchie did especially great job. And yes, that's not their real names, but I'm keeping myself pure as a baby of spoilers, so I should call them something. There is one problem with that story for me, and that's what you could call a Dune ending. There is no climax, story cuts off, and you don't really know what to think about it until you follow up with the next part. Yes, it's a trilogy, but it doesn't mean it can't stand on its own. Many other games been doing that just fine. They even have this Eric Stodders in the end as sort of antagonist, but you assassinate him as you would any other target, so it feels a tad underwhelming. I like how levels have their own story. It's something that started in Contracts, though here it's much more elaborate. There is a briefing introducing you to the targets, and not only they have their own business to attend to, Some smaller people like guards, staff, guests, some random people on the street do too. I do like how their conversations and little plots are written and entangled in a satisfying way. What I don't like is voice acting.
I see. Thank you for the information. I've been meaning to ask you, how do you do it? All these secrets.
Is it dangerous? Well, it must be, mustn't it? Why else would there be a safety protocol? I'm not crazy about airplanes. Is it going to do that thing where it flips on its head? I don't like that one bit. Not one bit.
It's cheap, you hear same voice actors everywhere, it ranges from being okay to embarrassingly bad, but what catches my attention the most is absence of foreign languages. Here's a Japanese fashion designer.
Non-threatening commercial? What? Whatever. I'm dead inside. I can take it. Say it.
Italian siblings.
Rocco! Get down here this minute! You can't be late for your first day!
Relax. It's all good.
A Marrakshi shopkeeper and a trooper.
Step aside, citizen. This establishment is closed until further notice.
What? Citizen? How Orwellian of you.
Visually, you are in an exotic environment and it feels like a tourist trip, but then every person opening their mouth speaks in perfectly clear English. Ironically, the only time I've noticed at least an accent was in the voice of artificial intelligence.
Mr. Jason Portman, please come to the hospital entrance.
Somebody in this universe took an extra effort and programmed it to have an imperfect speech for some reason. I don't care what you do, force 47 to learn all the languages, give him a gadget with instant translation, just bring native tongues into the mix and give a translation in subtitles. It doesn't even have to be all the characters, just some of them. There is this Roberto guy in Sapienza level who's painted as an Italian macho who looks like this. He sets up a love nest with roses, champagne, Italian music, and you would think he would sound something along the lines of...
It's not the same as a lonely man with a ponytail singing of his love on a guitar at the door of a fair maiden's hacienda.
But then you hear him in the game and his whole character just falls apart.
I know. I'm not the one who calls. I did say that, but hey, the guy can change.
Another thing I wish was done differently was opportunities, more specifically the use of waypoints. What you essentially did, you've created puzzles with different ways of approach, but then you just show how to solve them. You don't see the witness or portal pointing everything out. Have some faith in your players. You're telling me I need a disguise, show me the picture of it. It's all information player needs to know at this moment. Instead, you are leading me to the easiest guy to take it from, so most of the players boringly will do the same thing when you clearly set up more ways to do it. There is an option to turn waypoints off, and I did it after a second mission, but the game wasn't designed in this way. So even though it's better for the most part, eventually you will have a taste of some bullshit. In hotel level, Intel told me to search a room 404. Okay, it must be on the 4th floor. I went there and been presented with 5 doors without any labels, so I had to break into each room one by one, wasting time and risking to get caught. If it was designed properly, those doors would have been numbered, but they just slapped a waypoint and called it a day. In Showstopper mission, you have to find a flashcard to access the laptop. Of course, for normal people, it's just a straight line to it, but if you turned off waypoints, it's an aimless search through the whole building without any clues to where this tiny, practically unseeable thing could be. It's on one of the crates in the attic. But of course, makes a perfect sense. Same with codes for safes in Marrakesh, pack of cigarettes in Gamma Clinic. As I said, not all of the opportunities that lazily designed, but enough of them to discourage you from playing without that default baby mode. I wish in the future they would design their opportunities without the waypoints first, and then, if they really have to, put waypoints in as an option for, I don't know, game journalists and ladies. And officially, to play this game you have to be minimum 17 years old, so why are you treating your audience like toddlers who need to be handheld the entire way? Stop that, please. I don't know if they've changed it enough in the second Hitman. I'm torn between putting them on or off, so before I begin, if you want to give your advice, I'll very much appreciate it. Now to disguise system. It was pretty well made, the best one in the series so far. It keeps you on your toes without being too invasive or tedious. It could use some tweaks on running and crouching to become more realistic, but overall it's good. Communication was improved, guards will make it clear in which places you are not allowed, and 47 talks to people now, for example dismissing soldiers from their posts while disguised as an officer, escorting a target to a meeting point, or making some deceiving phone calls. It's mostly basic, but still a welcome improvement. Assassinations themselves were made with a lot of creativity, variety and approach, and were very fun to execute. Though the way I happened to kill most of my targets, let's say, wasn't very graceful. Hannibal Lecter eats his prey, Night Stalker murders at night, Origami Killer leaves origamis behind. My signature was this. I'm really struggling with the fitting nickname. Funny enough, on Steam, rating for this game is 10% lower than Absolution, which is astonishing to me. As I see it, backlash comes from the episodic nature of the release and from mandatory connection to the internet. I got the whole thing on autumn sale for less than around $4, so I didn't really get to experience a joy of buying episode by episode at a higher price. Connection isn't a problem for me either, but I agree it's an annoying and stupid way to fight piracy. I can torrent Hitman right now with a few clicks if I so wanted, so all they did made it a hell for people with unstable internet connection to play their official copy and turned off potential new players. I wonder what's going to happen with this trilogy when they eventually have to pull the plug on the servers. As much as I despise those things too, I don't feel like reflecting it in the rating for the game because it relates more to the way they decided to deliver it rather than the actual content. And that's been Hitman Trademark. Love the level design, very creative settings, premises, assassinations, almost makes me want to bring it up to the masterpiece tier just for that. But there are some little things holding it back, and I hope they will get fixed in the next parts. It took me 24 hours to complete. I'm still exploring different ways to kill the targets. There is a lot to go through. I'm currently at Colorado.
Hello?
But as it stands for now, it's 90 hours total, and I'm giving Hitman 88 out of 100. Okay. This works too, I guess. Wait! He meant serve to this guy. I thought he would grab the tray and bring it to her. Oh my god. Sorry, mate.